So the Chiefs' entire 2025 schedule got revealed, and it's not going to be easy once again, but the most entertaining part of it all is that while many NFL fans are sick of seeing the Chiefs in standalone or primetime games, they will be frustrated to know they are not getting rid of the Chiefs anytime soon. So I've got to break this schedule down week by week, look at Missouri trying to keep the Chiefs and Royals around for years to come, Chiefsaholic being imprisoned for even longer, and more. But first, how about those? All right, first up, before I get to the Chiefs' schedule release, there's a bunch of interesting takeaways in there for sure. Some good, some bad, depending on what kind of fan you are and when you like to watch the games. Lots of quick hitter news happened over the last few days worth mentioning. For starters, Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice, general manager Brett Veach, and president Mark Donovan were all spotted out at Kansas Speedway over the weekend, being special guests of NASCAR driver Kyle Larson. Larson is from California, but he's a Chiefs fan from what I understand, even visiting Veach at the Chiefs facility earlier in the week. To return the favor, he invited these guys out to the race at Kansas Speedway, and Larson himself actually won the race, leading the majority of it, and for what it's worth, is now tied for the most wins this season with 3. Someone else who saw a big old W over the weekend as well was Patrick Mahomes himself. He was inducted into the 2025 Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. Patrick obviously played both high school football and college ball in Texas, and this is very well deserved. He was one of just 9 players to be honored, and interestingly enough, Robert Griffin III was also one of the others on this list. Mahomes attended the ceremony, even speaking on stage, and pledged to sign 15 high schools, including the high school he went to, White House High, to Team Mahomes, which is a partnership initiative through Adidas as well as his own personal brand. This provides custom uniforms, gear, and other avenues of support for both high school and collegiate programs that are part of Team Mahomes, which I thought was pretty awesome. And then it was announced on Tuesday that the Chiefs signed third-round pick defensive end Ashton Gillotte and fourth-round pick wide receiver Jalen Royals to their rookie contracts. That means of the Chiefs' 7 draft picks, 5 of them signed their deals with only 2 remaining. So you have first-rounder offensive tackle Josh Simmons, the aforementioned Ashton Gillotte and Jalen Royals, 5th-round linebacker Jeffrey Bossa, and 7th-round running back Brashard Smith, all have signed on the dotted line, with only their 2nd-rounder and defensive tackle Omar Norman-Lott and their 3rd-round corner Noel Williams being the only 2 that haven't yet signed. Omar Norman-Lott was drafted at the end of the 2nd round, so I don't think this will be a fully guaranteed contract, but get this, wide receiver Jaden Higgins and linebacker Carson Swessinger are now the first 2 players to ever get drafted outside of round 1 and sign fully guaranteed deals. Wide receiver Jaden Higgins was the first to do this, but he was drafted 34th overall by the Texans, so he was the 2nd pick of the 2nd round. So I know Swessinger, who was drafted 1 pick before him, 33rd overall by the Browns, saw this and was like, if he's getting a fully guaranteed contract, so am I. All that to say, while I don't think Omar Norman-Lott, who was drafted near the end of the 2nd, will get a fully guaranteed contract himself, I do think what's going on with some of these 2nd-round contracts could play a role in him being maybe the last player to sign his deal for the Chiefs. Next up, it looks like the state of Missouri is attempting to make a push to keep both the Royals and the Chiefs on their side of the state line after the leases are up for both of them in 2031. It's a pretty complex situation, but the short version of what's going on is as follows. Missouri legislators have created a plan via new legislation that would allow the state to issue bonds to cover up to half the costs of a renovated Arrowhead Stadium and a new stadium entirely for the Royals. Now, it's worth mentioning Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest said the plan would more likely be used on a new stadium for the Chiefs in Missouri as well as the Royals rather than just a renovated Arrowhead. So this could allow both teams to get a new stadium and remain on the Missouri side of the state line. Either way, the plan isn't even fully passed yet, with one governor saying it's not going to be easy to get it there. From what I understand, the House passed this amended Senate bill allowing this to take place, but this is still being hashed out in the Senate. This is Missouri's attempt, by the way, to combat what the state of Kansas is reportedly offering the Chiefs and Royals via Star Bonds. Star Bonds stand for sales tax and revenue bonds and are a way for the Kansas government to provide upfront money for attractions. Kansas is actually one of only 3 states that have this controversial, to some at least, funding system, and only time will truly tell what the teams end up deciding. Either way, the decision will be made sooner rather than later, which is why I'm talking about it, because it's going to take time to get a new stadium built for the Royals as well as the Chiefs, regardless of which side of the state line they end up staying. So yeah, for the Chiefs, they've got a few options. You stay at Arrowhead, get it renovated, or you get a new stadium in Missouri, or on the Kansas side, I don't really know which direction it's going to go, but I do love the history and legacy of Arrowhead Stadium personally. I just realized a lot also needs to be done there via upgrades, especially the practice and training facility. We shall see what actually comes of all this as time goes on, with more clarity on this potentially coming Friday, once everybody continues hashing it out, at least on the Missouri side. Well, with all that being said, we just got an update here from Charlie Keegan. There was a little bit of a typo here, but he's a news reporter for Channel 41. He meant to say 2025, but the Missouri Senate just adjourned for the 2024 session, and it did not vote on what was needed to give breaks to the Chiefs and Royals and potentially the Cardinals money for stadium projects. So the proposal is dead, barring a special session from the governor. So it seems like that would be the last hope to give Missouri a chance against the Kansas stadium funding mechanisms. And before I get to the full schedule release, there was a bit of an update to the sentencing of the superfan turned fugitive bank robber Xavier Babudar, aka Chiefsaholic. He was initially sentenced to 17.5 years in prison for a string of bank robberies he committed already, but the update to that is that 14.5 more years are now being added onto his sentence. Basically, the first 17.5 years served is his federal sentence, but the additional 14.5 after that will involve him being transferred to the state of Oklahoma, where he was actually arrested for that Bixby, Oklahoma bank robbery, and he's going to serve the newly tacked on state sentence there. So a total of 32 years in prison is now what he's slated to serve, which means if Xavier fully serves that, he will be in his 60s by the time he's set free. All right, next up, have no fear, because the official schedule for the Chiefs' 2025 NFL season is officially here. It's kind of an overrated event we all wait for that's hyped up massively by the NFL because it is very slow the offseason, and we need something to keep us going. It's overrated to some extent because we've already known who the Chiefs are playing for quite some time now this upcoming season. We just didn't know the order nor the dates and times of each of these games. With that being said, I'll get into the official 2025 schedule, going week by week and looking at some key takeaways from each of these games. But first, now that we actually know when they are playing all these games, it's the perfect time to figure out which game you're going to and get some tickets. Well, that's where the sponsor of today's video, SeatGeek, comes right in. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is not only the #1 rated ticketing app, but there's more than 70,000 events listed on their website and app, including concerts, festivals, sporting events, and so much more. They make the process super easy for you as well, rating tickets on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. Just look out for the green dots, because green means good, meanwhile red means bad. On top of that, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee, and you know I had to come through for you guys. You can use code HBTC10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code HBTC10. Make sure to click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you again, SeatGeek. All right, week 1, we already knew this one, but the Chiefs face off against the Chargers on Friday in Sao Paulo, Brazil. That's September 5th. 7:15 Arrowhead time. This is confirmed, going to be streamed on YouTube for free worldwide, which is pretty crazy to see how that pans out. This will also essentially be a home game for the Chiefs because there are a ton of Brazilian Chiefs fans out there. And for what it's worth, even if the Chiefs did play in LA against the Chargers, it would be a home game there as well. From there, the Chiefs will host the Philadelphia Eagles in a Super Bowl rematch for week 2. That's going to take place on Sunday, September 14th. This will be the midday slot as well on Fox, and a highly watched game at that. Please, Chiefs, win this game for the love of God so we don't have to hear it, at least for the rest of the regular season, from Eagles fans. Next, KC travels to New York to take on the Giants for Sunday Night Football on September 21st. Good old Russell Wilson, in theory, will be their quarterback, so another Let's Ride rematch is in order. Then the Chiefs are back at home for another midday Sunday game to face off against the Baltimore Ravens. Thankfully, this one is at Arrowhead, and it's going to be taking place on September 28th. I think they win this one, but you never really know. It's always a tough battle, though Mahomes has basically owned Lamar Jackson every single year that they've faced off. So through 4 weeks, KC plays their one and only international game, with 3 of the opponents in these first 4 weeks being very tough, but thankfully they have home field advantage against both the Eagles and the Ravens. After that, KC has back-to-back primetime games, the first on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars week 5 for Monday Night Football, which is on October 6th. The Jags have a brand new coaching staff headed up by Liam Cohen, so we'll see if that helps them out this season or not. Week 6, the Chiefs find themselves at Arrowhead once again, going up against the Detroit Lions for Sunday Night Football on October 12th. The last time these two teams played each other in the regular season was also at Arrowhead, and it was that 1 point down to the wire thriller of a game where Kadarius Toney sadly gifted the Lions a free pick 6. So hopefully the outcome of that one is a little bit different. Either way, it should be a banger of a game. Can't wait for that one. After that, KC stays home, and the Las Vegas Raiders, headed up by Pete Carroll and Geno Smith, come to town for a little Week 7 AFC West action, which takes place on October 19th at noon. This is their first noon game of the season, which is pretty crazy. But then the next 2 games make things even crazier. Week 8 might be the Chiefs' 3rd home game in a row, but it's going to be against the Washington Commanders October 27th for Monday Night Football. That's the 2nd Monday Night Football game for the Chiefs in the month of October, but I definitely am excited about seeing Jaden Daniels and that offense and them going up against Spags and his game plan. That is going to be one of my favorite games of the season. From there, the Chiefs are traveling to Buffalo to face the Bills Week 9 in another midday Sunday slot, which is November 2nd before their bye week hits Week 10. Of course, this game will be a very difficult one, with the Bills often getting the better of the Chiefs in the regular season and being the Chiefs' only real regular season loss last year. Plus, we all know when Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes face off against each other, albeit indirectly, it's always a banger of a game. So yeah, the first 9 games of the season are pretty difficult to say the least, with 6 of those being against teams who made the playoffs last year. It's also worth noting that per Warren Sharp, the Chiefs are the first team in NFL history to receive 5 primetime games in the first 8 weeks of the regular season. That is a lot, and while people say, oh, watching the Chiefs is boring, we're not going to watch, they will all watch, even if the majority are watching purely out of hate. After all, the Chiefs were the 3rd most watched team last season, only behind the Lions and Cowboys, and the NFL loves themselves a ton of viewers during primetime. The tears will definitely flow freely about the refs rigging games for the Chiefs and whatever other little pathetic excuses people come up with as the Chiefs rack up mainly W after W. And this is going to be exaggerated, by the way, almost every single game, because they play so many in primetime where no other game is taking place and everybody's watching. I will say I like this Week 10 bye way more than last year's Week 6 bye, so at least they get a bit of a later rest week during the season compared to last. After they get a bit of rest, buckle up, because Week 11 is at Mile High Stadium, November 16th, which is Sunday at 3:30 p.m. And that, of course, is to take on Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. This is going to be a dogfight as well, with Sean Payton getting another offseason under his belt to build the team the way that he likes it, sans Russell Wilson. Anyway, Week 12 is a home game, thankfully, but it is against a pretty cursed opponent if you look at how the games have turned out over the years, in the Indianapolis Colts, which takes place at November 23rd at noon. Whether or not Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones is the quarterback at that time remains to be seen, but in theory, the Chiefs should hopefully, please, for the love of God, win that game. After that, it's a short turnaround for Week 13 as the Chiefs travel to Dallas to take on the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, which is November 27th this year, and it's during the very popular midday 3:30 p.m. slot, Arrowhead time at least. This game might actually become the most watched regular season game in NFL history, with the 2022 Thanksgiving game between the Cowboys and Giants holding the current top spot at 42.1 million reported U.S. viewers. But if that game did those numbers, Giants and Cowboys, I think it's safe to say 2 of the 3 most watched teams from last season is going to do some massive numbers. After that short week battle to see who America's team really is, KC gets a mini bye before hosting the Texans at Arrowhead and a little Week 14 divisional round rematch for Sunday Night Football on December 7th. After that, the Chiefs' 3 of 4 remaining games are actually against AFC West opponents, and with this division shaping up to be pretty freaking competitive, this actually could determine who takes the West. I still think it's the Chiefs, but it's not every year we get the luxury of knowing by Christmas the Chiefs are going to be winning the division. So this final stretch could be absolutely pivotal. Anyway, this has the Chargers traveling to Kansas City Week 15 for what will most likely be a very important game on December 14th at noon. From there, Week 16, the Chiefs find themselves going up against the number 1 overall pick in Tennessee, with that, of course, being Cam Ward and the Titans on December 21st, also at noon, the first back-to-back 12 p.m. games all season. If Snead is healthy this season, we'll see him going up against some Chiefs wide receiver. off and on all game, which should be a lot of fun. Then here we go. Week 17 is actually on Christmas night against the Denver Broncos at Arrowhead. So I'm glad it's a home game, but yes, that does mean the Chiefs play on Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. Ultimately, it's the cost of success here, with the Chiefs winning the majority of their games year in and year out. And while it is unfortunate being both on Thanksgiving and Christmas, this is the third Christmas in a row, so at least we as Chiefs fans are used to that. And with Christmas being on a Thursday this year, it's the night game and it's going to be on Amazon Prime. So buckle up for an AFC West Christmas showdown and hope Santa helps deliver a big old W like last year against the Steelers, rather than a box of coal like the 2023 disaster on Christmas against the Raiders. Speaking of the Raiders, that is the Chiefs' final opponent of the season, with that date and time, as always, to be determined. This could be on a Saturday or Sunday, early or late, with the NFL waiting to schedule those games on purpose to see which ones could be the most intriguing based on who could make the playoffs or get bounced in that final week. So there you go, the Chiefs' entire 2025 schedule broken down week by week with dates and times. It's also worth noting that the Chiefs have 8 standalone games. No other team aside from the Washington Commanders has more standalone games than the Kansas City Chiefs. They both have 8. Ari Mirov further drives home this point, by the way, when he said nobody has more primetime games than the Kansas City Chiefs. They have 7, the Cowboys have 6, and then the Commanders have 5. But when it comes to standalone games, I think that's where it's 8-8 between the Chiefs and the Commanders. All that to say, everybody's sick and tired of the Chiefs. They're sick and tired of the primetime games. They're sick and tired of seeing them on the holidays. Well, too bad. So sad, because they are definitely not going anywhere. Make sure to let me know your thoughts on the Chiefs schedule in the comments down below. What are some of the favorite games you're looking forward to the most? What are the toughest stretches you see? Is it the first half of the season with all the playoff teams? There's also playoff teams later on after that as well. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Don't forget to get some tickets on SeatGeek using code HBTC10. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?